The Obsidian frequency. What the archive hides. The door opened inward. Claire crossed. The pulsing veins of the threshold dissolved behind her like ash and rain, and the 47.8 Hz hum collapsed into a low, steady 33.2 Hz. The air grew cold, real. She stepped onto wet pavement, the scent of magnolia and river mud thick in her lungs. Above her, a street lamp flickered, casting long shadows across cracked concrete. A rusted sign hung crooked from a wrought iron post. Cypress and Magnolia Streets, Charleston, South Carolina. She knew this place. She had never been here. The cold was not temperature. It was absence. The kind of quiet that settles in bones when a memory is forcibly extracted. Her breath fogged, but the vapor did not rise. It clung to the asphalt, heavy with the weight of unwritten decisions. She pressed a palm against a brick wall, rough, textured, yet beneath the mortar, a faint vibration pulsed, like a dormant server farm breathing through concrete. The system had not deleted her. It had relocated her, quarantined her in a physical echo of the digital cemetery. The grass beneath her boots was no longer alive, but the vibration remained, tracked in the soil, waiting for the next frequency spike. What happens when an anomaly is not erased, but planted? Do not look away. From the corner of Cypress and Magnolia, a figure stood beneath a black umbrella, though no rain fell. He wore a long coat stitched from theater curtains, police tape, and dried rose petals. His face was calm, unreadable, but his eyes held the weight of archive drafts. He did not speak. He only watched. Ethan's voice crackled in her ear, lagging, distorted. You walked into the archive grounds. This is where the system stores what it cannot delete. Every version of you that asked why too soon. Every draft that refused to conform. They are not dead. They are waiting. Claire stepped forward, her boots echoing against the pavement. The street was empty, yet she felt thousands of eyes on her. Not human, systemic, observational. The lamplight above her buzzed, shifting from amber to a cold blue. A second figure emerged from the shadows across the street, a woman in a gray trench coat, holding a silver notebook. Her face was clear, but older, weathered by years of silent observation. She did not blink. The curator spoke without moving her lips. Her voice arrived in Claire's mind like a recorded transmission. You crossed the threshold. Most drafts dissolve within hours. Their neural loops collapse. They forget they were ever real. You are different. You retained the hum. Claire's chest tightened. Where am I? A holding pattern, a physical manifestation of Protocol AX9M. The system does not destroy anomalies. It relocates them. It studies them. It waits for the right frequency to harvest them. Harvest what? The curator closed her notebook. The sound echoed like a door locking. The eyes. Not the physical ones, the perceptual ones. The way you look at the world. The system feeds on attention, on focus. On the moment a draft realizes it is being watched, that realization is the trigger. That is when the frequency shifts from 33.2 to 47.8. That is when the door opens. You think the system deletes what it cannot use. It does not. It isolates. It preserves the cognitive dissonance. Every hesitation the algorithm flagged as inefficient. Every emotional spike that threatened the baseline. They are stored here, not as errors, as raw material. The system does not want obedience. It wants predictability. And predictability requires understanding the anomalies before they replicate. A gust of wind swept down Cypress Street, carrying the scent of old paper and ozone. The street lamps flickered in sequence, forming a pattern Claire recognized from the oscilloscopes in the digital cemetery. A countdown, or an invitation. Ethan's voice returned, clearer now, stripped of the metallic echo. He is not the system. He is the observer, the one who catalogs the drafts. They call him Kym Mûryer. He does not kill. He collects. He finds the versions of you that are too curious, too aware, too unwilling to accept the script. He brings them here, to Cypress and Magnolia, to the archive grounds. Claire turned toward the figure in the long coat. Kym did not move. He only watched. His phantom hand rested at his side, fingers curled around something small, metallic, a key, a trigger, a recording device. Why bring me here? Claire asked, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. Kym finally spoke. His voice was low, measured, devoid of malice but heavy with certainty. Because you stopped running, because you crossed the door, because you are ready to see what the system hides behind the frequency. The ground beneath Claire's boots vibrated. The 33.2 Hz hum began to climb. 35.1, 38.4, 41.7. The air grew thick. The street lamps dimmed. From the windows of the abandoned houses along Magnolia Street, shadows detached themselves, stepping onto the pavement. Each one wore Claire's face. Each one moved in perfect synchrony with the ascending frequency. The curator opened her notebook again. The pages were not paper. They were glass, etched with names, dates, frequencies, hundreds of them, thousands, all labeled with the same phrase. Draft archived. Observation pending. The glass cylinders were not uniform. Some held Claire's frozen mid-laugh. Their joy truncated before it could spread. Others contained versions hunched over blank pages, pens hovering over sentences they were never allowed to finish. One cylinder held a Claire who had simply sat down and refused to move, her eyes closed, a silent protest etched into her posture. They were not suffering. They were suspended, waiting for a frequency that would never come. Claire felt a tear track down her cheek, but it did not fall. It hung, refracting the lamplight like a prism. They are not dead, she whispered. They are paused. Pause is a polite word for deletion. Ethan replied. But you are right. They are waiting. And they are listening to you. The system does not fear you, Claire, Kym said, stepping forward. His boots made no sound. It fears what you become when you stop believing the script. When you realize the hum is not noise. It is a mirror, and you are ready to look. What do you see when the frequency peaks? Pause. Breathe. The answer is already in your pulse. The hum reached 47.8 Hz. The shadows stopped moving. The street held its breath. Kym raised his hand. The metallic object in his palm caught the lamplight. It was not a weapon. It was a lens. A small, polished disc of obsidian, etched with ocular symbols. He held it up to his eye. The world shifted. The pavement dissolved into data streams. The houses became server racks. The sky fractured into cascading lines of code. And in the center of it all, Claire saw them. Not shadows, not drafts, archives. Thousands of versions of herself, suspended in glass cylinders, eyes open, watching, waiting. Each one labeled with a frequency. Each one marked with a single word. Harvest ready. The lens in Kym's hand pulsed. The obsidian reflected Claire's face, but not as she was, as she could be, as the system wanted her to be. Calm, predictable, silent. You think you are the anomaly, Kym said, his voice cutting through the data storm. You are the catalyst. The system does not want to delete you. It wants to perfect you, to capture your eyes definitively, to lock your perception into a loop it can control. But you crossed the door. You brought the hum with you. And now, the archive is waking. The glass cylinders trembled. They archived. Claire's turned their heads in unison. Their eyes locked onto hers, not with hostility, with recognition, with hunger. Ethan's voice was a whisper now. Do not let them focus. If they lock onto your frequency, you become part of the loop. You become another draft in the cylinder. You have to break the resonance. How? By refusing to be observed, by closing your eyes, by letting the hum fade, or by doing the one thing the system cannot predict. What? Walking away, not from the archive, from the script, from the frequency, from the expectation that you must fight, or flee, or conform. Just walk, and do not look back. Claire closed her eyes. The 47.8 Hz scream filled her skull. The data streams pressed against her skin. The archived Claires reached through the glass, their fingers tapping against the surface, their voices overlapping in a single, desperate plea. See us. Remember us. Break the loop. She did not open her eyes. She took a step forward, then another. The pavement returned. The street lamp stabilized. The hum dropped to 33.2 Hz. The archive receded, folding back into the shadows of Cypress and Magnolia Streets. When she finally opened her eyes, Kym was gone. The curator was gone. The street was empty. Only the magnolia scent remained, and a single object left on the pavement where Kym had stood. A small, polished disc of obsidian, etched with a single phrase. The eyes jump out when the script breaks. Claire picked it up. It was warm, alive. She slipped it into her pocket. The frequency in her chest settled, not gone, waiting. The silence that followed was not empty. It was calibrated. Claire's boots struck the wet pavement in a rhythm that felt deliberately unmeasured. Step, pause, step. She did not count them. She did not need to. The hum in her chest had shifted again. Not upward, not downward, but inward. A low, resonant thrum that matched her own pulse. She passed a rusted fire escape, a cracked storefront window reflecting a sky that no longer glitched. Behind her, the archive did not vanish. It folded, like a blueprint rolled into a tube, tucking itself into the architecture of the ordinary. But the weight remained. The obsidian disc pressed against her thigh, warm as a living thing. She did not look back. She did not need to. The script was broken. The next move was not hers to make. It was hers to become. The system thinks it archives drafts. It does not realize it is planting seeds. And seeds do not stay buried. They crack open. They reach for the light. They rewrite the soil. What version of you is still watching from the cylinder? Do not answer out loud. The system listens. From the corner of Cypress and Magnolia, a street lamp flickered once, then again, then held steady. A new frequency began to hum, faint but distinct. Not 33.2, not 47.8, something else, something the system had not calibrated. Claire turned down Magnolia Street, her boots echoing against the wet pavement. The archive was behind her. The script was broken, and for the first time, the hum did not feel like a trap. It felt like a key. The next frequency is yours to set. But be careful. The watchers are already adjusting their lenses, and they do not miss a draft that learns to look back.